Good evening and welcome to Daily Politics and Trust TV, your go-to platform for sharp, insightful political conversations. I am Shafiu Suleiman. Tonight, we dissect the Senate's controversial decision to suspend Senator Natasha Akpabio for 6 months after she accused Senate President Akpabio of sexual harassment and intimidation. What started as seating arrangement dispute has escalated into a high-stakes political showdown, with Natasha now facing harsh sanctions despite her petition being resubmitted after its initial rejection for not conforming to legislative rules. The Senate's position comes amidst legal battles filed by both parties over the sexual harassment allegations, thrusting the Red Chamber into the spotlight and raising concerns over due process, fairness, and political power play. Is Natasha's suspension justified, or is it an attempt to silence her? What are the legal, moral, and political implications of this face-off? How does this decision shape the Senate's credibility for Nigeria's political landscape? And joining us to analyze the unfolding event is Senator Akpabio, who represented Zamfara Central in the 7th and the 8th Senate. Also with us is Barrister Buhari Yusuf, who will provide insight into the legal and procedural implications of the Senate decision. Let's go straight into it. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. It's good to have you on the platform.
Happy to be with you too.
Yes, Iftar Mubarak.
Iftar Mubarak.
MashaAllah. All right, so let's just go straight into it. I'm sure you've been following the conversation very, very closely.
Yes.
Yes, quite a number of twists, from legal to procedural twists and so on and so forth.
Yes.
But then it all culminated into suspension, a 6-month suspension.
Yes.
Let me get, first of all, your take on this face-up, so to speak.
Whole saga in my mind.
Yeah, yes, anyway.
You see, democracy is about drama making. It's very usual, not unusual, very usual. But normally guided by laws, procedures, ethics, and conventions. These are the guiding principles. Now, is suspension known to legislature the world over? Obviously no. But is it known to Nigerian democracy, particularly this dispensation? Yes. In 25 years of the practice of democracy, close to 6 senators were suspended. 3 of them in this dispensation. In this close to 2 years.
That's in the 10th session.
Yes, the 10th session. And 24 or 23 years of our practice witnessed maybe 3 with David Mark not suspending anybody throughout his tenure. We should understand something here very important. A senator and a House of Reps member is holding that trust on behalf of his constituency. So whenever you suspend a senator or a member of House of Reps, you are not suspending him as a person.
So you have to put into consideration the entire constituency he represents.
Yes, you are suspending the constituency he so represents. That is why, by tradition, anytime a senator or a member of House of Reps raises to speak on the floor of the House or the Senate, he say, I am
the good people
of this and this, telling you he's just a mere messenger of a mandate given to him. Now, the legal and the difficult issue.
Let's start with the beginning. It started like a joke. From 100 billion naira suit to 250 billion naira suit.
Yes.
First Natasha slam it against Akpabio and his aide.
Yes. I want to run a little to give a context.
Right.
We should understand that constituency is a creation of the law, reflected in the Constitution. Now the question is, by the procedure, the rules of the House, can they write on it to suspend a creation of the law, creation of the Constitution? That's where the dilemma is. So now, problems are normally initiated by small text the First World War was, ignited by the killing of one person. So was the problem in Rwanda and the rest of them.
Yeah, right.
So, if you remember, it was a mere procedural consideration of where somebody should sit,
right,
or where somebody should speak. The same problem that Akpabio too faced, if you remember, during the tenure of...
is it the 7th Senate or so?
Yes, no, the 8th. Yes, the 7th. The 7th.
Yeah.
Now it comes back to him. I want to think suspending 3 senators within the period of a year and some months. Yeah. I think there is a requirement here to interrogate the management skill, the administrative skill of the presiding officer. I think there are things that he ought to really take into consideration. They are all equal before the law.
Yeah. But some would say it's beyond Senator Akpabio, for instance. You're talking about Senate entirely taking a decision. Even though in this case it was, slightly different. Yeah. It is a case against him, so to speak. But the major concern now is, why should he, as a person, sit in his own case? How can he be a jury in his own case, for instance? Because fundamentally, quite a number of people have faulted that he ought to have, step aside and allow someone to preside over. Just like, because some are also looking at precedents, like what former Senate President Bukola Saraki did, during the time he was also accused of asserting, So what do you make up of this?
No, we are going to be a little bit procedural and legalistic, which is fantastic.
Quite a number.
You see, he ought to have recused himself because he joined issue with her. So in this matter, he's involved to give sense of neutrality and then complying with the rules and the rudiments, particularly when you are sitting on quasi-judicial setting of trying to preside over somebody's fate. You need to appear neutral, which he did not. Not only that, the most serious part of the whole drama is the fact that Senator Natasha obtained a court order. Obtained a court order that did what? That gave her protection. The Senate ought to have tarried a while, consider the position, the legal position, and possibly allow the law to take this course.
But there's also an objection to this, rather a different opinion.
Yeah.
A lawyer, expressed this opinion saying that, by virtue of the Constitution again, the court, the High Court cannot stop the Senate or the Senate committee from taking its responsibility. He cited Section 88 and again Section 8 thereabout.
Let me just. Yes. He can quote any section once an order of court is procured, whether the court has jurisdiction, whether it doesn't have, whether legal precepts are not followed, whether what, you are bound to comply with the court order until it is either rescinded by the issuing court or vacated by a superior court. So that is the position. Whether the court has jurisdiction or it doesn't have jurisdiction, it must be listened to. We are not in Banana Republic. We have seen so many issues going to different courts. But at the end of it all, the aggregate sum total of what comes out of it is the rule of law that eventually triumph.
Right. Talking about the rule of law, and then looking at this submission now. There are people actually who think that this suspension on its own is a nullity by virtue of that court proceeding.
Yes.
Because it shows that it is in contravention of the court order. Yes. That's one. Yes. But then again, talking about the rule of law, again, others also are looking at it from this perspective. The Senate Ethics Committee is saying that Natasha's petition is dead on arrival because it contravenes certain procedural proceedings. But then again, they went ahead to also sit on the same matter and pronounce 6 months suspension.
And on the same content of petition, the petition was not changed. The content of the petition was not changed. And again, look at the time between the submission or the acceptance of the petition, and when they dispense up with the matter, couple of hours, and she needed to be given
fair hearing.
Fair hearing.
Yeah, even though they said she wasn't at the, she didn't turn up, at the investigative.
No, you have to establish. You have to establish by evidential fact that indeed she was not. Because for now and before us, there is no evidence that she was invited and she turned down the invitation or she ignored the invitation.
And beyond that, some will say that, some also said that perhaps she decided not to attend because she was also advised by her lawyers not to go because there is this court order.
Again, so that she should not be also caught in contempt of that court. Because you see, even look at, I comment advisedly because of subjudice nature of the case.
That's why we're not going deep into it.
It is not res judicata yet. So we have to be very careful the way we go about. And I think that advice too is very plausible in these circumstances and situation. She might cover. She has a very serious cover around that area. Yes.
To say that this is the reason why I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Looking at the whole issues. Also, even though we don't want to go deep into the legal matters. Yes. It's a matter of defamation and so on and so forth, both sides, and both claiming, damages and all of that. And yet, before, the issue is exhausted, and now a 6 month suspension has been handed. So, looking at the speed, just like you said earlier, between the time this legal gymnastics, so to speak, and of course arguments started, and then where it ended finally. What do you make up with this hasty nature of it? Some say it could be, deliberately done to silence her because she also did mention at several fora, those interviews she granted that she had, evidence, to prove that there was actually this sexual harassment and all of that. Could it be an attempt to silence her?
Fortunately or unfortunately, I was one of the lawyers or counsels that handled the case of Abdulmini Jubril Kofa against the speaker on the same issue of suspension.
Yeah.
And the court order or the court ruling or the judgment of the court then was that the House doesn't have the power to suspend a member. Then, but there is this case of Omo Agege versus the Senate President, where at the end of it all the court said, look, even if we can concede this, that you have power to suspend a senator, it shouldn't go beyond 14 days. There is capture within your rules.
I was actually coming to that because some say it shouldn't go beyond 14 days.
14 days,
we're talking about 6 months.
Yes, and the legal, the moral, and the political issue is who represent Natasha's constituency for 6 months. They are expected to be. They are expected to be part of the democratic process and growth and development. They are supposed to be represented in terms of the distribution of palliative and what have you. Now, who stands for them?
That means it
and that is the reason why
for 6 months.
American democracy does not allow for the suspension of a lawmaker. It does not allow that. There are other measures meant to beat members back to line, but never suspension of member or a senator, because they know the nature, the power and the requirement of a representative either in the Congress or in the Senate, and therefore they elected to tarry for a while. And they know the most vibrant part of democracy is the legislature.
Even the symbol of democracy.
In every democracy, the absence of democracy during the military regime was the absence of the assembly, the lawmaking body, because we had the judiciary, we had the executive. So when you begin to create this atmosphere of fear among the members, I think drastically we are undermining the process and the development of democracy in Nigeria.
Yeah, but at the same time, some will argue that there also should be some level of, restraint, if you like. There should be some sanctions or some red lines, that persons should not cross. Like what happened now. Bottom line is the Senate is saying that Natasha's submissions or Natasha's arguments and counter arguments and the confrontations with the leadership of the Senate, battered the image of the Senate, and of course, at the same time, was an affront on the the rules and regulations of guiding the chamber, so to speak. So how do you reconcile the need to bring lawmakers to order when they are crossing the lines, and the need to also safeguard the institutions as a body?
You see, we always run away from context, particularly historical context. You see, ask yourself, why is there the presence of parliamentary immunity? Is to remove the gag so that you can say whatever you want to say, so that you can make a position regardless of the feelings of the other person out there. That's why parliamentary immunity is ensuring. And the history of assemblies or the legislators came up as a result of chaotic gathering during the advent of democratic practice. They say, okay, why can't we have an organized arrangement where, annually you will come in here and then this. That was how we came up. So you cannot remove that drama, that kind of level of hysteria.
Some say it's even part of the vibrancy of
you cannot. That is it. Please compare this dispensation with 1979, with 1993, I think. Compare it and see the docility now. And it is because of this fear, the fear created around the members, the senators, that if you do this, of course you are going to be suspended. You saw the way these guys were humbled. Ningi and Indomie. They hardly talk, they hardly say what they used to say anymore. And the drama is removed. The vibrancy is removed, and what we have.
But even if that is what happened, some would say perhaps it's because of the fact that there is also uniformity in terms of, or there is agreement among. Because some are really wondering why there is this what do you call it now? In the case of other struggles, you find out that they say an injury to one is an injury to all. But in this case, you are on your own. That's what it means.
You can deduct why I'm laughing. The same dispensation, you can see the vibrancy in House of Reps, largely because of the management, the leadership management of that house. You can see what is going on. Just the same item being dramatized. You can see what is happening in the House of Reps and what. And I think the Senate President, without saying what, he needs to really adjust, to redirect the way he presides over this. I know he has been able to calm them down. I think he has been able to remove all the fear of either impeachment or what have you. Now that they are falling in line, I think that the activity should be allowed to run its full course.
Yes, but then not at the expense of the image of the institution, and also not at the expense of perhaps sort of distraction, because some say some of these things constitute a lot of distraction to the main reason why the lawmakers are there. Take for instance this issue of sexual harassment, allegation and all of that. The lawmaking body has to stamp its feet and ensure that there's continuity, so to speak.
American president faced the issue of sexual harassment. The house was not pulled down. And I want to add here, he's not the first person. And of course, she's not the first person to lay the same allegations against him. So, aren't we supposed to be thinking of holding a proper interrogation on this issue than just throwing it out under the fear of maintaining decorum in the house? And I told you, in the executive, particularly in the judiciary, another part of this thing, you can see, yes, semblance of this because of the conservative nature of it. But that is not obtained in the...
because that's a symbol.
It is a debate scene. Yeah. It is a debate scenario. They debate issues. And debate occasion rancors process most of the time. You can see, please take time to watch what is happening in the House of Commons in London. You can see the drama, and nobody is suspending anybody. And I told you, in American democracy, up to the 300 years, nobody has been suspended, not a single person.
Yeah.
But in close to 2 years, we've suspended 3 people.
Yeah, and you talk about the impact now. There appears palpable silence. Everyone, somewhat cowed, to submit.
Yes.
And nobody is raising any eyebrow, or nobody is raising any objection.
Yes.
And we've seen the uniformity.
Look at the gallery. People hardly go there because people used to go and watch the drama, the debate, so that they learn. But honestly, they need to sit up.
Okay. Now, of course, we're rounding up gradually. Looking at the current situation, and of course, the impending, court proceedings that are likely going to take place. What do you think what are the options for Senator Natasha? Because she left, before she left the chamber, she did mention that this injustice will not stand.
Of course.
So what are the options left for her? Do you see a possible political solution to this?
I think they are likely going for political solution. If you listen to what the president was talking about, if she apologized, if you see, I think he realized that he was sitting on a very frail, situation, and he needed a salvation to come around his way, and that is why he was making that offer. And she appears to me like somebody that is ready to slug it out with them. Yes, I think so.
Because even as of yesterday, she was still standing her ground and saying that we can see how the speed at which she resubmitted the petition again.
I want to say some people need to make that sacrifice for democracy to grow in Nigeria. And I thought that others would support her, but I was shocked the way the Senate chambers reacted to the situation. I had fear for Nigeria and fear of Nigeria when I saw what happened in the Senate. At least I thought some people would have given in a little protest by way of reminding the Senate president of his position as all equals. But yes, we have given you a mandate to preside over us, and will this array of suspension allowed to continue? How long why would it stop?
But we talk about reason why people have to, because everyone wouldn't want to be being a scapegoat and all of that. Others have seen what happened to others and all of that. So how do we? How do we get a vibrant democratic, legislature with this kind of arrangement? And who would be at the receiving end in the end? Because Nigerians are looking up to their representatives, to speak up, against injustices, to also represent them effectively.
Within the Senate chamber, I don't see anybody. Because Indomie used to be very, very assertive, but he has capitulated and now become humble. Ningi too, and Natasha came with some bit of vibrancy and agitations within her. She was ready for the job. Now she's been cowed down. But I don't know. But she appears to have quite a strong instinct and a very strong fighting capacity in her, that I think she might give it a
little push.
Yes, a little push to see
but looking at also,
and particularly when she knows that she's coming from a very strong position on this matter. The law is behind her, the procedures are behind her, and I think quite a good number of educated activists and lovers of democracy in Nigeria. I've seen a lot of reactions. And somebody might say it doesn't matter. And those that are supposed to amplify this kind of issues and drama are the media. But media too.
Aren't we balanced? Because we look at all the sides.
In most cases, Nigerian media too is capitulating. The drama that I saw during Buhari's regime is no longer playing out.
Capitulating. It hasn't capitulated all, but it's capitulating.
Let me say capitulating. They are not yet really. Because there are some elements that are still standing on their precepts. So I will not make this wholesome condemnation of its totality, but I think the media in Nigeria need to sit up, need to appreciate the fact that democracy is under severe negative scrutiny.
Right. Thank you very much, Barrister Buhari Yusuf, for your insight on this very important matter. We hope to have you,
Thank you.
some other time. And viewers, we'll take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.